My name's Robert Gregory, and I'm the CEO of the Australian Jewish Association. Welcome to everyone, whether you're watching on Zoom or on Facebook, or listening to the replay on J-Air Community Radio or on YouTube. Tonight, we're going to start with someone who's become a good friend. From the Assyrian community, we have Neil. Neil's going to give us some background to recent developments, which I'm sure everybody's seen in the news. Then following that, we're going to hear how music is helping Israelis heal from this unspeakable tragedy. We're going to hear the songs, watch the videos, some English subtitles, and be inspired by the remarkable spirit of Israel. Josh Shron is the host of Israel Hour Radio, a weekly radio show and podcast devoted to Israeli music and culture. Since 1994, he's made it his mission to help English speakers around the world develop a stronger connection with Israel through Israeli music, or in his words, to build a stronger Israel one song at a time. That sounds really inspiring and can't wait. So let's get started.
Okay, Neil, there was a rather dramatic, terrible terrorist event in your community during the week when Bishop Murray was attacked. Tell us what's going on.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving me this time. Welcome, Josh. And thank you for giving me this time today, this spot to tell you what's happening that day and to share some points with you. I think it's important to share it with us between our Assyrian community and the AGA community also. 7:30 Monday PM, I start receiving messages, crazy messages from my community people, from my friends that it been attacked in the church. So I directly drive with my 16 years old son in the car, drive there. The church is just 12 minutes from my house driving. When I arrived there, there was more than 2,000 angry people outside the church. The policeman was locked, the church locked down. The killer, the terrorist, was inside the church with the policeman and with the other members inside the church. The angry people tried to breaking into the church to take him out. We tried to organize the people. We tried to make everybody calm down, but believe me, David, it's not something organized before. It's not something before one week we just put a checklist. We'll do this, we'll do that. It was just a crazy moment, and 2,000 angry people. It was very hard situation, really. I never thought that I will feel this in Australia after I arrived in 2016, fled away from Syria. So it was very hard moments. The police started pushing the people outside the church. The people tried to catch the killer, the terrorist. First, I think, let me just pass this point. We are really very, very sorry for all the violence happened that night. We are not a violent people. We're really praying, and we are very sorry for the two policemen. They are in hospital. They are not our enemies. They are our friends, our families. They are our kids. No problem with that. The message should be to the politicians behind them, the politicians hiding behind them. That's the issue. The bishop now is good. He's in the hospital. Thanks God, him and the other 4 people with him. There was another 4 people injured because they were trying to take the knives from the terrorist. So yeah, it was really a terrible night. It's not enough words, David, can just pass what we really saw, what happened. When the problem started, they brought a armored vehicle just to allow him to go outside the church, the terrorist, under the cover with the police. It was very hard night. I really don't wish this to anyone, to anybody, to live this with his kids, with his family. But there is messages and there is word we should say. We should be clear with it. I think I will talk more. Let's have some conversation about this. Let's talk about like questions. But yes, I'm telling you, really, it was a terrible night.
Neil, was it certainly a knife he used? There was some reports it was a pen. So
no,
what
it's a knife, but this kind of knife with the trigger. We call it pocket knife. It's a trigger.
Okay,
you clicked it, it's the blade coming out. So he tried to stab him. And if you saw the video, the first 2 steps in his face, the knife didn't work. So that was really a miracle. Otherwise, I think his condition will be more bad than that.
Okay, I'm going to share a picture on the screen now. Everybody should be able to see it. It's a picture of the terrorist being held down and smiling. What does the Arabic say below it?
The Arabic in the gold color, he said, "I swear to God, you are a hero. Your smile smashed them more than your knife."
So somebody is praising, is celebrating the terrorist. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. There's 2 points here, David, if you please. The first point, that we have a video with this terrorist speaking with the guys inside the church when they just catch him. He was speaking in a very clear Lebanese accent, and not just Lebanese accent. We know the exact accent of the city. He is from Tripoli. Tripoli, it's a city in North Lebanon, in the border of Syria. Actually, Tripoli, it's just 30 minutes far away from my city. I'm from Syria, from Homs. It's just 30 minutes from my city. So I clearly know that accent. It's easy, I understand it. And that guy who published this photo, who posted this, he is also from Tripoli. He's in Lebanon, from Tripoli, yes.
Okay, and I'll just tell our audience that it's likely that that picture you've seen with the message will be in the Australian media tomorrow.
That's good.
And Neil, I just want to ask you, you're part of the Christian community that have left the area, left Lebanon, Syria, etc., made your way. How do you feel about coming across the same sort of terrorism in Australia that you've experienced years ago? You've seen it in Lebanon and Syria.
Yes, actually, this is the hard point, really. We just imagine, David, that we just fled, and I flight over the seas and ocean, 15,000 miles, just to reach a land to feel safe. And then I surprised that the same people I ran away from them, they are here in our streets. And they are doing the same thing they did there to my people, to our church, in my country there, in my origin country. Really, I'm very sad. But actually, there is a point I need to make it clear here, David, if you please. Why this bishop? Why this guy? And why they send a guy, he is less than 18 years old? Because you can't touch him. 18 years old, you can't touch him. That's very easy. Why this bishop? Because this bishop, David, he has between YouTube and Facebook and Instagram 700,000 followers. The service at that night in the church, there was 120,000 people watching it live, that streaming. So they choose the correct time with the correct man to do their crime, because the message will be very clear.
Neil, what you're saying is that it was not the spontaneous action of an individual, but this was planned by others, and he was sent to do the task. Is that correct?
David, let me be honest with you.
Of course.
Yeah, we know that. Look, yes, maybe as investigation, yeah, maybe he will be individual doing it by himself. Yeah, of course. But I will never, not me, any Christian kids, Assyrian child in the street will not believe that. These things needs months of planning, recognizing, checking, listing, knowing who is this guy, when to do it, why to do it. Do you know that the same boy with the same bishop, he can kill him outside in the parking? Nobody with that bishop, and nobody will see him, and he can run away. That's it. No, but if he kill him in the parking, no, there's no message. The message should be in front of everyone inside the church live. That's the message. Okay. And don't believe that, David, that a 15 years or 16 years old boy, just like that, he wake up in the morning, what I will do today? Okay, let me go and kill that bishop. It's not like that. Nobody will say that, and maybe I don't have the proof for that as a evidence. But come on, we came from Syria and Lebanon. We understand how these things works. We lived with these people. We know how they are thinking. And this is taking me to another point, David.
Okay, we'll need to finish up, Neil, but please.
Yes. Yeah. Let me just tell you this quickly. This started with our community. This point started with us from 7th of October. I will be honest with you. 7th of October, when we saw in front of Opera House these black flags in front of Opera House and the police doing nothing, this make the trust between us and the system very weak. There's something missing here. I am not trusting this system because this system cannot protect me. That's very hard. That's not healthy when you are living in a community. Don't forget, that's very hard. If they couldn't save or protect the Jewish, they will of course not protect me. The same. I'm very sad, really very sad, disappointed. Okay,
Neil, look, thank you so much for your comments and coming in at short notice to give us that insight. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we're going to go to our main guest, but just before I do that, I'll just do our 1 minute promo as we always do, and I've brought up the wrong paper, so I'll try again and get it correct this time. Just bear with me, sorry. Okay, you can see when somebody's a bit of an amateur doing this. Here we go. That should work, right? And as we do each week, at the end of the event, please do something active to support AJA. Go to the website jewishassociation.org.au, make a contribution, make sure you've signed up to the email list, and make sure you're following us on the various social media platforms of your choice. Next Wednesday is Pesach, so we won't have a Zoom event, but on the Thursday after the Yom Tov, we have an extraordinary special event happening in Sydney, a live event with two absolute superstars of commentary, Brendan O'Neill and Shari Markson, together, an Eastern Suburbs location. This is a ticketed event. You'll find the link to book the tickets on our social media and in the emails, the last couple of emails. So don't miss that. It'll be a spectacular event. It's on the public holiday, Anzac Day afternoon, after the usual Anzac Day services. So now, Josh, it's over to you. Robert's already done the introduction, so very happy for you to take it away.
Thank you so much, David. It's really a pleasure to be here joining you at the AJA on what is the eve of my 50th birthday. This is the last day I'll be in my 40s, and I find that very, very strange and very hard to believe, but I can think of no better way to celebrate this day than to join you and present a musical hug from Israel. And I really appreciate the invitation. I've been bringing this presentation, albeit a little bit of a longer version, to communities all over the United States and Canada so far. This is my first time spreading out to the Australian community, and I'm really thrilled to be here. So let me just first of all tell you a little bit about the radio show and podcast that I've been hosting for a very long time. It's called Israel Hour Radio. It's a podcast about Israeli music. We broadcast out of Rutgers University in New Jersey, although I am now living in Israel for the past 7 months. If you, in Australia time, it's probably not a great time to join us live at 1 a.m. between Sunday and Monday. But if you are up and would like to join us at facebook.com/Israel Hour, that's where we broadcast live on Facebook. But the best way to do it is on demand. Listen to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or on our website, myisraelimusic.com. The show has been on the air in New Jersey's Rutgers University for 47 plus years. It's part of a whole day of ethnic programming with Turkish music and Greek music and Pakistani music and Israeli music. And that's where I come in. And I've been doing it, wow, all the way back since 1994. This Hanukkah is going to be 30 years for me. I can't believe it, but it's truly a labor of love. And in all that time, as was mentioned during the introduction, I have considered it my mission to bring English speakers closer to Israel through music, because I believe that music can really draw you into Israel through its culture. The problem is so many people say, well, I don't speak Hebrew so well, and I can't really understand the song, so I'm not going to listen. And I say, that's a shame, and that's ridiculous. I want people to just tune in. If you don't know Hebrew at all, let the music just wash over you. It will make you feel closer to Israel. It will make you feel closer to the culture. You don't need to understand every word of every song. I don't understand every word of all the songs I play. I try my best. And if I really want to find out more, I can go online to sites like lyricstranslate.com or hebrewsongs.com, which comes out of Australia. There are ways online, but in the meantime, just tune in and make yourself feel closer to Israel. Just immerse yourself in Israeli culture, and you will almost automatically feel more Israeli. My family and I had been talking about making Aliyah for so many years, maybe 15 of them. As my kids were getting older, we said, you know what? It's now or never. And on August 24th, 2023, we landed at Ben Gurion Airport and made it official. And we moved into Israel and started doing the things that Israelis do when they move to Israel and make Aliyah. We got health insurance and we opened a bank account. We bought a way too expensive new car, and we were settling into our new lives as Israelis. And then October 7th happened. And our lives, and I imagine your lives and the lives of all who love Israel around the world, got turned around in an instant. Since then, I have been listening a lot to the radio as I drive around Israel. And I've been hearing these songs come on the radio, and they've been very emotional and very inspirational and very thought-provoking, and have really helped me, I wouldn't say come to terms with, but process the tragedy in a whole new way. And I started putting together a list of songs that were most meaningful to me. And I came up with 3 categories of songs that have emerged from Israel since October 7th. The first is songs of pain and loss and sadness and tragedy and sorrow and just the coming to terms in some crazy way with all that happened on October 7th. The second category is songs in support of the hostages. Here we are, 180 something days later, and we still haven't found them, and we need to remember them. And the music that's been on the radio, thankfully, has helped us remember them, as if we needed another way to remember. And finally, totally on the other hand, we have songs of pride and unity and strength and optimism and understanding that, yes, we've been through hell and back, but we will emerge stronger than before. So we'll examine all of these categories of songs in this presentation. It's been a true roller coaster ride of emotions, and you're going to feel that in this presentation. As I always tell my listeners, I'm going to pull your heart into a million different directions, because that's what we've been feeling ever since October 7th. We're going to begin with songs of pain and loss and sadness and tragedy. And Israel, we know, is no stranger to tragedy. Each year on Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day, what do? We listen to music. We listen to the radio. We listen to songs that help us connect to the pain that is being felt on that day. So after October 7th, it makes sense that Israeli musicians use their creative outlet to write about how they felt, to write about their thoughts over this unspeakable tragedy. And here are some of the songs that really reflect that. One of the first ones that I encountered after October 7th was called Hashir Shel Noam, Noam song by Maor Ashkenazi and Noam Cohen. These were 2 guys on TikTok or Instagram sitting on the steps with a guitar, singing and rapping about their experiences as survivors of the Nova Festival. And I got to tell you, it's not an easy song to listen to. The images are pretty disturbing. Take a look.
נוסעים בתוך המכונית, יורים עלינו מחבלים, אני לא אשכח אף פעם. נכנס לתוך המיגונית ומתקשר לאבא שלי, מקווה שהוא כבר קם. אין לאן לרוץ, אני שומע את הפיצוץ ואני מתמלא בדם. יצאתי במזל ורוב הגוף שלי ניצל, אבל הראש שלי עוד שם. כבר שבועיים וחצי אני לא נרדם, אני לא אשכח את לזר באוטו מלא בדם, וכבר בא לי לשחרר מזה ולהרגיש אחרת, אבל ברגל שלי עדיין יש קליע למזכרת. פתאום כולם מרחמים עליי, נמאס לי, באים כדי לשמוע סיפורים אבל ברסמי אין לי חשק לדבר על זה יותר, אבל אם אתם באמת רוצים לשמוע מה עברתי, אני לא אשכח שאני מתכסה גופות כדי למנוע מהרסיסים לחדור לי אל הגוף. אני לא אשכח את הבחור שהתפלל לאלוהים וכל אדם שלו עף לי על הפרצוף. אני לא אשכח את הריח השרוף של האנשים ואת העשן שממלא את כל החדר. אני לא אשכח שמעתי אנשים שצועקים צהל בא, ואז הגיעו מחבלים על טנדר.
That's probably the most painful song that you'll hear today. They're all painful, but that was probably the most graphic and a very, very difficult song to listen to. The rest of the song does not get any easier. I apologize that I'm only showing short snippets of each song in the interest of time. I have a playlist on YouTube of all the songs you'll hear today, and I'll give you my email address at the end of the presentation so that you can get a copy of that link so that you can see these songs in their entirety. The next song is by Miri Masika. It's called Mapal. Mapal means waterfall, but it's also the name of Mapal Adam, a young girl who was killed at the Nova Festival on October 7th. Her sister Ma'ayan Adam was sitting Shiva for Mapal, and Ma'ayan on the last day of Shiva wrote down a few words in poetry about her sister to recite at the grave after they got up from Shiva. She also posted these words on Instagram. A musician by the name of Uri Shachiv read her Instagram post, was moved by the words, and decided to put these words to music. And he did just that, sent it back to Ma'ayan, and Ma'ayan was so moved by that gesture that she was able to get in touch with Miri Masika, a very famous Israeli singer who is one of her sister's favorite artists, asked her to record those words. Here is the result.
מתי תחזרי? זה לא הגיוני שאת לא פה. מפל של כאב, הגוף מסרב לצאת מתוכו. רוצה לטבוע בצר, להיסחף אל היער, להגיע לכדור שלקח אותך איתו. תעשי מקום, אחזיר אותך היום. רוצה לשכב לידך, בינו לבינך, להציל אותך מכל מה שיבוא.
Often when we hear of tragedies like this, we say, there are no words. I have no words. And these artists have helped us find those words in a very meaningful way. Coming up next is a song called Choref Esrim V'Shalosh, the Winter of 23. Now that brings up thoughts of an older song in Israel called Choref Shivim V'Shalosh, the Winter of 1973, which was, of course, the winter after the Yom Kippur War. It's written from the point of view of children who were born in the aftermath of the Yom Kippur War. That was then, this is now, and this is a very different song. The Winter of 23 is a conversation with God, saying, God, you're supposed to take care of us. You're supposed to save us. You're supposed to be merciful. How could you allow this to happen? A rapper named Easy and a pop singer named Odaya joined together, and watch carefully because a lot of the lyrics go by very quickly.
ריבונו של עולם, אם נדבר גלויות, לפעמים אין לי כוח לחיות פה. בוא תגיד לי מה הגעתי לעשות פה, כי זה חלום בלהות, יו, לא הבנתי מה ניסית ללמד אותי שהוא, רצית לספר לי מה מותר ומה אסור, מה כאב לך על כל מה שקרה ביום כיפור, אז אני לא אשם ובטח לא הרוב, נשבע לך באבא שהלב שלנו טוב, אני ראיתי מקרוב את הילדה שלא הבינה למה אתה לקחת לדח ואת האמא, אני ישבתי עם החבר'ה על הדשא ואני מתפלא שהם הצליחו לדבר, אבל אף אחד שם לא חיפש את האקשן, אבא כל אחד מהם איבד איזה חבר, אומרים שאתה אל רחום וחנון, נרח אפיים ורב חסד, אז בוא תעזור לי לקום מתוך ייאוש, שנאה וגם עצב, מדברים על גאולה שתבוא, אני בינתיים רואה רק חורבן, אז בוא תדבר איתי אבא, לפני שתיקח גם אותי מכאן.
Anybody out there listening? Is anybody listening when I pray? How could you let this happen, God? These are the questions that many of us have been asking ever since October 7th. And that's who we are. We're Yisrael. We wrestle with God. It's been our existence for millennia. Coming up next is a very popular and powerful song by Osher Cohen. It's called Tir Kedi, Dance. And it's dedicated to those who lost their lives at the Nova Festival doing what they loved, and that's dancing. And basically they're saying you were dancing and then you had to run away. But if you got tired and you didn't make it, well, then I'm sure you're dancing once again wherever you may be right now.
תרקדי, אל תדאגי זה הנוף שכלום לא יזיז לך גם לא אש הקרבות תרקדי נתראה בקרוב כולם מחכים לך רק עוד כמה שבתות אל תדאגי ייקח לנו זמן אל תדאגי את עוד מעט כאן ואם תשמעי צליפות הדשא חוטי עשן תרוצי מהר את נגד הזמן שריקות העדן עמודי ענן אל תעצרי אני בדרך ואם עייפת את בטח רוקדת לך שם בטח רוקדת לך שם.
The tune of the angel dancing gets me every time. The next song is a very important song, a beautiful song by Benaya Barabi, and he's joined by survivors of the Nova Festival, many of whom, all of whom, have experienced the most incredible horror you can imagine and are trying to pick up the pieces and feeling sorrow and loss and terrible guilt for surviving when so many of their friends didn't. How do they move on? How do they pick up the pieces and bring it to get back together? And the song is called Ze Beseder. It's okay. No matter how they choose, no matter how they react, no matter what they need to do, it's all acceptable. It's all okay. But the end of the line is Ze Beseder lo liot beseder. It's okay not to be okay.
זה בסדר לא להיות בסדר זה בסדר לשיר שכואב זה בסדר לבכות כל בוקר ולמרות הכל בסוף לקום זה בסדר לא להיות נורמלי זה בסדר לא לומר מילה זה בסדר לקוד עד הבוקר בחושך מלא תקווה, הכי קל להסתיר פנים, לשמור בבטן עוד אלפי שנים. הראש שלי צורח מבפנים, להתפלל על רגעים קטנים, הכל רגיל אנחנו משתנים, רק ללב שלי שמרתי אמונים. הכי רוצה להיות ביחד, אף פעם לא להיות לבד, הכי רוצה לשיר חזק, להחזיק לך את היד, הכי רוצה לחיות בלי פחד, זה בסדר לצחוק סתם ככה, הכי רוצה לחבק קרוב, זה בסדר לאהוב, הכי רוצה לחבק קרוב, זה בסדר לאהוב.
So often we focus on the victims of tragedies like these, and there's a very important song focusing on the survivors. Our final song in this category is sung by a veteran Israeli rocker Aviv Geffen, and he's joined by one of the freed hostages named Mia Leimberg. Mia was that hostage, 17 years old, who was taken captive with her dog and miraculously returned as part of the prisoner exchange with her dog as well. The two of them are singing a song called Zricha Shchora, Black Sunrise, and essentially they're talking about the horrors of October 7th, about communities in which children woke up one morning but will never be able to return to their homes or to their yards or to their playgrounds. They talk about a society and a government that didn't protect its citizens, that wasn't ready, and about politicians who are now just saying what the country wants to hear without really doing anything for the hostages that are still in captivity.
לאוקטובר 23 ומאז סופרים ימים, לא נחזור להיות אותם האנשים. התעוררנו פתאום לזריחה שחורה, לא היינו מוכנים, מדרום העשן עלה מהבתים, נערים נערות והמוות שרדף למרחקים, מחפשים את הכביש הראשי ואת אלוהים, ילדים שקמו לבוקר כבר לא ישחקו בחצר, ומאז זה הולך איתנו ולא עוזב, וכלום לא עובר.
They also talk about the divisions that took place within the country prior to October 7th. As we know, Israel was bitterly divided due to a series of planned judicial reforms. We were fighting for months and months amongst each other. And what the song says, and we've learned from Hamas and documents that we've rescued, that we've recovered since October 7th, that our enemies saw our division and decided that the time was right to strike. That's for our first category. We move on to songs of the hostages. 180 something days later, maybe even more at this point, never did I imagine that I'd still be sharing songs of these hostages while they're still in captivity. When I put together this presentation, I said, all right, by the time I start presenting it, they'll all be back. And of course, we wake up every single morning, we check the news, we say, did they find them yet? Of course, we know all too well that they still are languishing somewhere beneath Gaza in very difficult conditions. Songs on the radio and on social media have reminded us at all times that even as we go about our day, about our lives, go to work, go to school, socialize with friends, that we still have to worry about our brothers and sisters trapped as hostages. One of the first songs that I heard after October 7th was by Idan Reichel. He is one of Israel's most successful singer-songwriters over the past 25 years or so. He writes songs for himself and he writes songs to be sung by others. Here he's joined by singer Roni Dalumi, a song called Tachzor, Return, and the combination of the melody, the lyrics, and the vocals really make it a very powerful song, in my opinion.
השעות העייפות שלא נותנות לזמן לרוץ, הרגליים הכבדות שלא מוצאות סיבה ללכת, הימים והלילות כמו הפנים שבתמונות, הכל עוצר מלכת כשאתה לא כאן, ומתעוררת בחלום, מרגישה אותך קרוב, אז קוראת לך מתוך הלילה, תחזור, תחזור היום, כל כך רציתי שתגיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום, אני מגדל של אור, ממרחקים ששוב תופיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום.
You can just imagine the families of the hostages thinking to themselves, just come back. Just return. I don't need a message. You don't need to let me know you're coming. Just come back. Shortly after October 7th, there was a candlelight vigil in Jerusalem in support of the hostages with many of the families in attendance. Two Israeli singers, Tamir Greenberg and Shiri Maimon, were there to sing their version of a song originally made famous by hip-hop singer Diddy. It's called I'm Coming Home.
I'm coming home, tell the world I'm coming home, let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday, I know my kingdom awaits, and they're fighting for my sake, I'm coming home, tell the world I'm coming home.
You can just see the faces of so many and the anguish that they must be feeling. Speaking of faces, this next song by Harel Skaat, I haven't put translations up on the screen for the lyrics because I don't want you to pay attention to the lyrics. I want you to pay attention to the faces. These are the faces of many of those who have been and still are hostages. The faces, their faces during happier times. And although this song was released before the prisoner exchange in which many of the women and children were returned, many are still there. And to look at these faces and to imagine what these people have gone through and are still going through is simply unimaginable.
את מסתכלת עליי, והעצב גובר, דברים נשברים, זה קרה גם הפעם, רוצה שאני אח אותך לנפשך, כי הכל מייאש, וחסר לך הטעם, אני אותך לא מוכן לאבד, ותמיד רק ירצה שתהי מאושרת, אבל רק רציתי אותך לעודד וללחוש לך דבר שיש בו גם תחלת. יבואו ימים אחרים עם שמש ועם אלוהים, ובוקר בסדר וערב בלי נדר וריח של משהו מתוק. יבואו ימים אחרים עם שמש ועם אלוהים, ובוקר בסדר וערב בלי נדר וריח של משהו מתוק משקר באוויר.
So difficult. Whoops. And our final song for this category, many of you may have seen this on social media over the recent months. They called it the Homeland Concert. And essentially, organizers wanted to do something grand in support of our hostages. So they invited 1,000 musicians and singers to join together in the middle of December in the Caesarea Amphitheater, that ancient theater in Caesarea in Israel. And the song that they chose to sing, these 1,000 musicians and singers, is called Habaita, Home. It's a song from 1982 or 1983. It was a protest song at the time, urging Israel to get out of the First Lebanon War and take their soldiers home. Of course, today, it has a very different meaning. I urge you to watch the full version. It's very, very powerful. That is the end of that category. I know that there have been comments and questions. I'm going to go as fast as I can to ensure that hopefully we'll have time for those. I haven't looked at them yet, so I thank you for your patience. We're going to, I realize that so far I've been lying to you because I promised you a musical hug from Israel, and so far I've given you anything but. I've depressed you. I've made you miserable. And I'm glad I did, because those are the feelings that we all need to be feeling at this time. But there's a whole other side to this story since October 7th. In addition to our sadness, in addition to our despair, we've been feeling pride and unity and optimism and strength and understanding that we will emerge from this conflict stronger and better than before. As we talked about, before October 7th, Israel was bitterly divided, perhaps more than any other time in history. But since October 7th, people have been helping each other. People have taken care of one another. People are volunteering all over the country. You see their shirts say, Shomer Achi. Yes, I am my brother's keeper. And so the songs that have been coming in out of Israel have really expanded on all of those themes, beginning with Yehoram Gaon joining the men and women of the IDF. Yehoram Gaon is like the Frank Sinatra of Israel, a veteran of Israeli music. He's 84 years old and still going strong and really responsible for much of the soundtrack in the land of Israel. Here he's joined by the men and women of the IDF, singing a song he made popular many years ago called Lo Tenatzchu Oti, You Cannot Defeat Me. And what I love about this video is that on full display is the spirit of the IDF and the diversity of the IDF.
אבל פתאום זה מתבהר ולעצמי אני אומר לא, לא, לא תנצחו אותי לא מנצחים אותי כל כך מהר לא, לא, לא תנצחו אותי לא מנצחים אותי כל כך מהר לא, לא, לא תנצחו אותי לא מנצחים אותי כל כך מהר. לא, לא, לא תנצחו אותי, לא מנצחים אותי כל כך מהר. לא מנצחים אותי כל כך מהר.
I hope you heard echoes of Hatikva in that song. Really, really beautiful. And these people are heroes in every sense of the word. And that's the next song we have for you. It's a relatively new song by the Israeli group Hatikva Shesh called Giborei Al, superheroes. We're a nation of superheroes, ordinary Israelis from all walks of life, dropping everything, leaving their lives and their wives and their husbands and their children behind to go fight for our freedom. And it's inspiring to say the least.
אז המורה לתנ"ך בגבעתי, המורה ללשון מודיעין, השכן מלמעלה קבלן עבודות, אבל חודש כבר במילואים. עורכת הדין היא קמבצית, עושה משמרות באוגדה. אחיה איש הייטק בכיר, עכשיו הוא צלף על גגות ברצועה. מנהל את הסניף הקשוחה של הבנק, היא סמג"ד ביהודה ושומרון. דורון הוא בעל חנות צעצועים, עכשיו הוא מ"פ בשריון. והמדי שלנו כפרה, שלרוב מזמר בקיסריה, הוא לוחם הנדסה, מתאושש בגבורה, אחרי שנפצע בלב עזה. נכון כולם נראים רגילים, אבל אנחנו עם של גיבורי על, בכל אחד תמיד מסתתר חייל, מוכן להציל את העולם. וזה לא משנה אם באמצע חיים או באמצע משחק כדורגל, כולם יעזבו את הכל בשנייה אם יקרא להם הדגל. פה זה לא יקום מקביל, לא מציאות של מרוויל, זה הסיפור שלנו, עם ישראל.
This is our story for Am Yisrael. We're a nation of superheroes. If you don't believe me, Israeli children can actually buy action figures of IDF soldiers to really bring the message home of what kind of heroes they actually are. This is a really, really beautiful initiative. Coming up next is a song that's probably very different from any other we're sharing today, and it's one of the most popular songs to come out of this war. It's a rap song by Nes Vestila, Nesia Levi, and Dor Soroker. And from the Times of Israel, they write, the song's title, Harbu Darbu, comes from Syrian Arabic and means literally swords and strikes. In Hebrew slang, it's a reference to raining hell on one's opponent, which is exactly what the rappers promised the IDF will do to Hamas. In many parts of Israeli society, there's a lot of anger toward Hamas and understanding that we are all united and all ready to do whatever needs to be done to win this war.
מרגישים את הרטט התל אביב, כל הבנות דופקות לחיילים בבתים, וגם הוא בחדשות פתאום נראה לי חתיך. הם צועקים עליי חינם פלסטין, אבל משום מה זה נשמע לי כמו מבצע לחגים. חצי דקה וכל המדינה במדים, במילואים, בסדיר, כולם בשביל אמא ואבא, כל החבר'ה שלי בחזית, אחת לסבתא וסבא, חושבים שמות על הפגזים, לילד בעוטף עזה, גליל עליון ומרכז גם, כולם מוכנים לקטה, רפק רפק, כל היחידות מוכנות, גולני, נחלאווי, שריון, חיל הים, חיל האוויר, תותחנים, צנחנים, כל היחידות בצה"ל במוד לחרבו דרבו על הראש חפ, גולני, נחלאווי.
I have a feeling some of you are hearing more rap in the past hour than you have in your entire lives, but rap music has so much to teach us about Israeli society, and so I think it's really important to include in this presentation. I have two more songs to go. The next one is one of the biggest songs to come out of this war, and even if you don't know the song, you probably have seen it in one of those many videos where Israeli soldiers are reuniting with their families after weeks or months away, and it's always very emotional, always makes you cry. This is Latzet Midikaon by Yagel Oshri, an unknown in Israeli music until now, and Israelis have embraced this song in a big way because this song about getting out of depression is exactly what we needed after October 7th.
המשפחה, החברים, אולי לצאת לבילויים, שיחות עמוקות, שיחות של הנפש בלילה. להתמודד עם שינויים, ההרגלים הישנים, הנשמה במלחמה עם הקרמה. עוד יבואו ימים טובים, אני מבטיח. עוד יבואו ימים טובים. גם בשעות החשוכות של הלילה תמיד יהיה כוכב קטן שיעיר לך את עצמך, את הדרך הביתה. תמיד זה הכי חשוך לפני הזריחה. מיליון רכבות דוהרות עד אוסטרליה, מחפש רחוק את מה שנמצא לך מתחת לאף. כל מכשול זה מדליה, קם ונופל אבל בדרך שלך.
And our final song for this presentation, you know, you wonder which of these songs will have staying power 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 years from now. I think this next one will be it. It is by veteran Israeli singer Eyal Golan, who you can see is a very interesting character on his own. He's got tattoos all up and down his arms. He's probably on wife number 4 or 5 or 6, and he puts on tefillin every day. And that's what Israel is, this amazing fusion between religious and secular. Eyal Golan has written an anthem for this war that has spread like wildfire. There's a good chance you've heard it already. It is called Am Yisrael Chai.
ארצי נחלתנו, לא תיפול כעת רוחנו, מסביב ברזל של חרבות. ויונה תפרוס כנפיים, התקווה בת שנות 2000, עוד נצא לשיר ברחובות. כי עם הנצח לעולם לא מפחד, אפילו כשקשה לראות. כולם ביחד, אף אחד פה לא בודד, שישרפו המלחמות. עם ישראל חי, אם לא נשכח תמיד להיות מאוחדים. עם ישראל חי, בעליות בירידות, גם בשעות הכי קשות. הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה. תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא אבדה האמונה. הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה. תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא אבדה האמונה. עם ישראל חי. כי עם ישראל חי.
Yes, we are scared. Yes, we don't know how this is all going to end. Yes, we pray for our chatufim, our hostages. We pray for our chayalim, our soldiers. We pray for all of Am Yisrael, wherever in the world we may be. And yes, we know that Yachad Nenatseach, together we will emerge victorious. And yes, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Am Yisrael Chai. I want to thank you so much for joining me today on this musical hug from Israel. If you want to keep up with all that we do at Israel Hour Radio, you can go to our website, myisraelimusic.com. We have a very active Facebook page at Israel Hour, facebook.com/Israel Hour. We also discuss Israeli music in English as a group. We have a Facebook group. Just search for Israeli Music Community. We have a few thousand of us there. So please feel free to join us. If you're on Instagram, we're at Israel Hour Radio. And if you're on YouTube, we're also at Israel Hour Radio. If you'd like a copy of the playlist from today's presentation on YouTube, they won't have subtitles, unfortunately, but you can send me email to josh@myisraelimusic.com. josh@myisraelimusic.com, and I'll be happy to share the link with you. And finally, we've made it our mission to build a stronger Israel, one song at a time. Our show is listener sponsored, so if you'd like to help with that effort, you can go to myisraelimusic.com/membership. And finally, if you know of anyone who'd like to bring this presentation to your community, please email me, josh@myisraelimusic.com. Thank you very much.
That's a masterpiece that you've put together, Josh. Absolutely brilliant. And thank you so much for doing it. And it is so needed and spectacularly good. I'm not sure if we're going to get questions. I saw that Morris Klein had his hand up at one stage, but I think he's dropped out. While we're giving opportunity for the consideration of questions, just very briefly, I'm going to share something personal. Because a part of your presentation was about the Nova Festival. And that's the funeral notice of my cousin, Maya Biton, who with her boyfriend died on the ground at the Nova Festival. So I guess my point for showing you that, Josh, is that even on the other side of the world, we're all connected to this tragedy in different ways. And that's my personal family connection right there.
For your loss.
I don't see any questions popping up, but we've got your email address, and hopefully we'll be in touch. I think you've just provided the complete package, and thank you so much for doing so. We're only a minute or two before time, so it's worked out perfectly, and you did a great job of editing it.
Thank you. And as I like to say, the music often speaks for itself, and what more can be said?
Yep. And finally, I just want to remind everyone we don't have our Wednesday evening Zoom next week because it's Pesach Yom Tov. But on the Thursday, we have the very special live event in Sydney with Brendan O'Neill. And if you haven't heard of Brendan O'Neill, think Douglas Murray, because very, very similar. England, extraordinarily intelligent, articulate, quick, great, outspoken person for the support of the Jewish community in Israel who's not Jewish. And we need good allies at the moment. Go to your email or to our social media. You'll find a link as how to book that. Thank you again, Josh. And hopefully see all the Sydney people on Thursday next week, and then we resume with our Wednesday programs the week after.
Wishing you all a Chag Sameach.